Hi, I'm Katie Shull, and I'm excited to be helping our Sesquicentennial committee with the Story Booth project. We thought it was important for our church family to understand more about the purpose of the Story Booth, how you can participate, why it's important for us, both historically and for our future work in the community and the kingdom. Do you have a story of God's love for you that you repeat because of the impact it had? Do you have a story of how God revealed aspects of God's character to you through someone or an experience here at Fifth Avenue Baptist? These are the stories we want to encourage you to think of. As people, we forget a lot, or we remember things inaccurately because of the feelings we had at the time. In Exodus 16, we see the Israelites had already forgotten God's mercy in delivering them from slavery in Egypt, and they were wishing to return to Egypt. They complained against their God-appointed leader, Moses. In Deuteronomy 6, Moses warns the next generation to remember the stories of the generations before them. He urges them to be obedient to the Lord, to remember the Lord's commandments, and to love God with all their heart, soul, and strength. Moses also tells them to share the commandments with their children. Never cease to make sure they remember who they are, the experiences that shape them, the soil that sustains them, and the generations before them. This is how we remember, by telling our stories over and over so we don't forget the truth. When we forget, we risk twisting memories into damaging belief systems. When we don't tell the stories of our God encounters, repeat the truths we've been taught as God delivers us through our own wilderness seasons, or share the joys that can only be sourced of God, we risk losing sight of Him. When we lose sight of God, we lose sight of our identity. When the Israelites were frightened of the Philistines in 1 Samuel chapter 7, Samuel prayed and offered a burnt offering, and the Lord brought them victory over the Philistines. Samuel marked the spot where God stepped in with a stone and named it Ebenezer, meaning stone of help. Storytelling is a living, modern-day Ebenezer for our church. On this anniversary year, like Samuel, we want to mark the spot where God has helped us thus far. We want to preserve God's story through the image bearers in our church community, and we also want to preserve our history and culture. We all have a narrative that has shaped us into who we are, and we can help shape the future generations by telling our stories. They can serve as warnings against temptation, hope in times of struggle, and inspire God-sized vision. The stories you will tell are part of our legacy of faith, and more importantly, God's legacy of faithfulness to us. So how do you get involved? You can contact me to set up an interview with one of our facilitators, make arrangements to send a video, or maybe you have a short story you can share independently. Some of you may even want to share through writing, which means I get to be even more creative in how I share your story. We'll be collecting these stories through September 16th. I'm here to help you identify the markers in your story that others need to hear. I can offer you some questions for reflection and prayer as you draw out the details of God's fingerprint on your life, your faith story, and your experience at the church. Many of you have been part of FAB for a long time, and you probably have a lot of stories. I'm happy to video multiple 2-minute stories if you can't choose just one. And when you contact me, I can also share a list of ideas to help stir your memories and give you a starting point. Things like, how did the 1937 flood impact worship at FAB? What do you remember about the church's response to key events in history like 9/11? How has the worship style changed over the past 50 years? Tell us about renovation stories, or when the balcony fell, or when the sanctuary was renovated and the pulpit split. What can you share about your daily walk with the Lord that can be an encouragement to others? Has there been a program or Bible study that impacted your faith journey along the way? And why did your family make Fifth Avenue Baptist their church home? Things like that. But the possibilities are endless. Again, your story matters. What God has done in your life could be the very thing that leads someone else to Christ. I can't wait to document each of your stories and hear the ways God has shaped your life and the life of this church. Thank you.